thinking about what's next in my career and needing to get over it before I take the next step in my career.
For once in my life, I feel like I've got something to offer. I just like empowering people.
If I say to you, how do you feel about speaking up in class? What comes to mind? How do you feel about sharing your voice in your classes? Anyone want to talk? I can guarantee if I asked you all now what's holding you back, you would probably say something around the word confidence.
So we are 5 days away from the first session, which is really exciting because I am actually looking forward to meeting everyone and to just get started on this journey. You know, the closer we get, I almost get this feeling of, oh my God, what have I signed up for?
We had a Zoom call on Friday to meet everybody, which I was a bit anxious about, if I'm honest, but it was good to see everybody. Bit at the end where we're in front of all our family and friends. I don't think my mum and dad have probably seen me present anything, maybe in my assemblies in junior school and infant school, but apart from that, I don't think they've seen me do anything.
I feel hopeful, I just feel optimistic, just open to how it goes, whatever it is we get to learn.
I know it's going to be a day of really facing my fears, so stay tuned, let's see what we've got up to.
I do hope to make a few connections and friendships. I can't wait to see what the session unfolds tomorrow and where it takes me from there.
I am feeling nervous, but I am also excited. So yeah, we'll see what tomorrow brings.
A little bit of nerves when I look further ahead, I think, like towards the end of the journey. But I've realised they're mostly about talking in front of family and colleagues rather than strangers. I don't know why that surprises me. It surprises me a little bit, but I guess in retrospect it makes sense that you're more nervous about being vulnerable in front of the people you have to see day in, day out. So I think that's probably my biggest challenge to work on.
We're actually moments away from the first sound barrier session, and the ladies actually all coming together and meeting each other for the first time. I think there's a lot of nerves. I'm nervous as well in terms of bringing this all from a vision into reality and knowing whether it's possible to take women that are extremely fearful of sharing their voice to, in the end, standing on stage and sharing it in front of friends, family and colleagues. So yeah, it's going to be a journey. I'm really interested to find out more about them, what brings them here, to see in terms of what those barriers have been and how much I can give them support and a platform to share things that are really important to them as well. How are we all feeling? All right?
Excited.
Butterflies, that's good. This morning we're going to really do more of a group sort of practical exercise where we're going to be talking a lot about, well, why do we need to share our voice? Why bother? And what is sort of like our fear of it? And then I'm going to take a break and we're going to touch upon the big word of confidence, because I can guarantee if I asked you all now what's holding you back, it would probably say something around the word confidence. People see that finished article stood on stage and then people go, well, that's not relatable, that's not me. I couldn't do that because I haven't got the confidence. But what they don't see, the sort of self-doubt that will go on behind the scenes. So when you stand there on the end and we share the documentary, there'll be women out there that'll go, no, I think I can do that now because I've seen what the process is.
How I feel right now versus knowing what I've got to do at the end, I really can't comprehend what I'm going to overcome in between. There's got to be a lot of hurdles and barriers, and I think personal personal issues that I'm going to have to really overcome to get to where Becky's aiming for.
When I'm on stage, I absolutely love it. I see people's faces in the audience and I know that I'm having an impact, and that just means so much to me. It's not about me and about, oh, look at me. It's more about I'm having an impact on people's lives. And you might not realise it now, but when you share your story, you will also have an impact on somebody's life, because your story will connect with somebody that will listen to it.
I feel like I get so much value from just listening to other women talk about experiences that resonate with all of us. Even today, we had that. And that's part of why I wanted to get into public speaking in the first place, because I think it's been so impactful for me that if I'm able to get to the point that I can create that kind of impact, that would be amazing.
When you either saw my social post, somebody shared it with you, something in your mind must have gone, it's my time. And I want to understand what that why was.
I've been in IT now for about 30 years, in service management for 30 years, and I thought I would like to join the course, so to speak, breaking the sound barrier.
When I turned 50 last year, I realised that there was lots of things I hadn't done in my life. Of late, of the last 5 years, lots of things have gone slightly wrong in my life, and that I'm still here. You know, it's like nothing bad has really happened. It's just been a lot. I'm a single parent. I've got a 15-year-old son with ADHD. I'm homeschooling and running a department. So yeah, it's quite a lot, you know, but you can do it. That's the thing. I think that's all I wanted to say to people, is that you can actually do it.
So with the coaching side of things, I quite enjoy helping people. And can we stop a second? Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
I was just thinking about my friend. So my friend passed away last week, and she always said that I was like not her idol, her mentor. And I just thought about that for a second, so I apologise. When I say recently separated, 2 years or so ago, my son being homeschooled, I think it was all around knowing that actually I did have a lot of experience in so many different things. For once in my life, I feel like I've got something to offer. That sounded like a bit of a poor me, but something to give back. And I just like empowering people, and I feel quite strong at the moment. So yeah, that's why.
What was that moment like of reading it and going, yeah, it's my time?
Well, see, I've always, along the way, I've always pushed myself. I felt sick.
Yeah.
I thought I'd feel sick. No, I'm going to do it. So I did it.
So, so almost like when you feel sick, you know, it's a good thing you need to do it.
Yeah,
it is like that, yeah.
I am a head of software engineering, and I'm a mother, and I'm a musician, and there's those three parts of my life which don't cross very much. I don't feel like the head of software engineering is who I am. And I'm trying to work out who I am. And it's certainly, I don't think it describes what I do. When I was a teenager, I thought I was going to be a musician, an orchestral musician. I went and did music at university and at the Royal Northern College of Music, and that's what brought me to Manchester. Mid-degree, I realised that wasn't what I wanted to do. And I went to Manchester Business School afterwards, and then somehow landing in kind of business change and process improvement jobs.
About 3 years ago, I moved to be head of software engineering and data engineering for the whole group, for the national group. So now I feel like I'm firmly in technology, but I guess historically I wouldn't have called myself that at all. Which is a whole part of my story about imposter syndrome and not being technical enough to be technical and all of that kind of stuff. I think probably a lot of people in the top technology feel at some point or another in their careers. There's a journey I'm on over the last couple of years about leading teams at the size I'm now leading teams and needing to use my voice differently. Thinking about what's next in my career and needing to get over it before I take the next step in my career.
Lots of things coming together at the same time, and just a bit of an older I don't give a anymore. I'm just gonna do it. And as I was dealing with the imposter syndrome and coming back from mat leave and all of that guilt and stuff, and watching speakers who I could relate to on stage made me feel less alone. And every year I've gone to the events, every year I've had more of an itch to be part of that and provide that for someone else.
You're saying that you were quite an anxious child.
Mm-hmm. And an anxious teenager and an anxious young adult and a very quiet one. I've been thinking recently about when I started to change and why I started to change.
I think it's really interesting, confidence, seeing it with children especially, that all they want to do is fit in. And that goes against like what we sort of say about being authentic, being unique, being independent, because that's not who they are, is it? Hello girls, we're all right? How are we feeling?
Good.
Yeah, now the camera's on, it's all a bit, oh, like rabbits and headlights. If I say to you, how do you feel about speaking up in class? I want on your post-it notes what comes to mind. How you feel when you speak up in class. And then, if I said on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 having no confidence at all, and 5 not bothered, I'll put my hands up, I'll share whatever I need to do. Rate yourself on how confident you feel in sharing your voice in class. Hattie, can I come to you?
Confident.
Confident, brilliant. And what sort of scale have you put on in terms of that?
4.5.
4.5. Why the half?
Because I wasn't sure if I wanted 5, because sometimes I'm scared if I've got the wrong answer.
Yeah, so you're worried about what you're saying, whether it's right or it's wrong. Brilliant, thank you.
I put confident as Hattie as well.
Yeah.
And 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5.
I put confident like Hattie and Frankie, and I did the same as Hattie as 4.5. I put confident.
Yeah.
And I put 5 out of 5.
5 out of 5, brilliant.
I put like calm because it can vary and depend on how I'm feeling that day. And I put like 3 or 4 because like my feelings can change like very quickly depending on like the lesson or like the situation.
I put determined because everyone wants to try their best, but I put 4 out of 5 because you don't know if someone's going to have a different opinion to you.
So you see on the table, there's 2 bits of masking tape on there. One down here that says not important, and then the one right at the top that says very important. If you look at that scale and get a post-it note, blank post-it note, how important do you think it is for girls especially to share their voices in class? Just pop your post-it note on the scale of not important to very important on there. So everyone's gone for the very important. We've gone over the very important.
It is important for girls' voices because not like all the time boys should answer, because girls have their own opinions too, and like it's important that everyone gets to have an opportunity to have a go.
It can like vary because when girls like sometimes don't want to share their opinions, so the girls kind of like sometimes see like a greater detail in answers and how they can say it and it can be interpreted, so they're quite intelligent about that. But I'd say that it's quite important because it needs some variation, because obviously the teachers need to change it up for it to be fair.
So we've just had the first group of Year 7 students, so 6 of them came in. Even you could tell in the corridor while they were waiting for us to set up, the chatty sort of nature around them. And that then continued inside where they were very open. There was a lot of hand putting up, there was a lot of contribution. I think the depth and the articulation in terms of what they were saying, but also the awareness of understanding other people around them in class that might not necessarily feel the same as them. and how the gender differences in class, that we're more conscious about getting it right and the depth of answer that they were actually given as well. So really, really interesting and very much relating to the research that we've come across for the documentary.
Said it won't be shown to school.
Yeah, Miss Wilson said it won't be
Oh,
shown.
right, well, if it's not being shown to school, it won't be shown. Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, to start off, if I said sharing your voice in class, okay, what sort of feelings crop up in terms of how do you feel about sharing your voice in your classes? Anyone want to talk? Do you feel comfortable in doing that?
Like comfortable,
Yeah.
confident when I'm doing it. Like
Confident,
I'm not,
yeah.
Yeah, like judged for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all classes?
Most classes.
Most
mostly.
classes, yeah. Yeah. Do you feel that that's the same for everybody within the classes that you're in? Does everyone feel comfortable in terms of?
I think so.
Yeah.
Some people might feel a bit nervous though.
Yeah. Have you seen anything around that, around people feeling nervous?
A little bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know? No? Has anyone felt like maybe girls have been overspoken within classes?
Not really, no.
No, not really. Have equal voices? Do you feel that everyone, boys and girls, have equal voices?
Gets like a say.
Yeah, brilliant. That's good. And then in terms of like sort of like the importance, do you feel it's very important, not important, middle importance around girls' voices within class, and why?
I feel like it's quite important so then like everyone gets a chance to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you see, like, when you look at, I'm sure you look at social media, sort of other women that share their voices, whether that's on social media or on TV, do you feel like if you were able to do that, that you would feel confident in doing so in terms of sharing your voice?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. That's good. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, ladies. That's all we needed from you. Yeah, I felt that was really interesting. Like, just such a contrast between year 7 and year 8. So there's only like obviously 1 year difference. In some situations might even only like be 6 months age difference. Whereas year 7 being very extroverted and talking in great depth to the ladies in year 8, even though they said they felt confident in sharing their voice, they didn't have the confidence to talk about their examples in any way. And even the body language, they looked to each other for that reassurance and that confidence before speaking up, and almost they're hesitant. So it's almost in their mind they think they're confident, and that's what their sort of narrative's telling, but body language, tone, and actual vocab was telling a very different story. Didn't really know what to expect in terms of the type of filming, the output. It just naturally flowed, and it flowed in alignment to the research that we'd done as well, which is really, really interesting because there was so much that I've read about that actually you see now before your eyes in terms of happening, and so much to digest in relation to not only from their perspective, but what we're working with the women that have gone through the Sound Barrier programme as well. So just really excited to sort of tie it all together, of actually telling that narrative right from the word go, of what girls' perception of their voices are, where it sort of tailors off, and what we can do about it.